Hello, you welcome back again to this YouTube channel. And if you're new here, you're highly welcome. Please do well to hit the subscribe button and also click on the notification bell to be notified whenever I drop a new video. So in this video, we'll be putting together this beautiful blouse, this beautiful stone blouse, and I got the inspiration from Pinterest and also added this fluffy sleeve to it. So if this is something you want to learn, if this is something you want to learn how to sew together, then do well and keep watching, and also make sure you do not touch the dial. So see ya. So I've already uploaded the video on how to draft this because the video was getting too long, so I had to section this video into two: the drafting and the cutting video in one and the sewing video in another, which is this particular one. So if you want to watch how to draft and cut this out, the link is on the description box. Go ahead and watch it, draft and cut. And this video is all about the sewing, the putting together of this beautiful blouse. So with all of that being said, let's dive right into the sewing of this blouse. So after cutting out the breast part as described in the cutting video, the next step you would want to do right now is to take this piece and iron them on the door face, which serves as the lining. So you go ahead and iron it on your door face or lining like this. I prefer you make use of the door face. So you go ahead and iron it like this, and next is to go ahead and stitch the darts, that is close up the dart. So in closing up the darts, you make sure your bust points are lined on each other, and you use the 1/2 inch dart joining that you left on your fabric while cutting this out. And you also go ahead and do the other side like this of the dart, close the other side of the dart, and you also do that the same thing on the fabric as well. On the front fabric, you also go ahead and close up the darts like this. So next step after doing that is to also bring in your back pattern. That is, you also close up the darts on your back pattern as well. And also for the zipper section, don't forget to give it a little notch at the top to indicate where the 1 inch for your zipper allowance starts from, and make sure you close the darts. And also do the same thing on the fabric. So you're doing the same thing on the fabric and on the lining. When it comes to closing of the darts, make use of 1/2 inch. So when you're closing the darts, make sure you have arranged your fabrics like this, and you make use of pins, and make sure that the waistlines are lying on each other, that is, they are on the same points you get. So like these bust points, now you can see the little cuttings I did just to indicate where my bust point is, where the bust point is. So you make sure the bust points are on each other, and you use your pins to indicate, and also use your chalk or a pencil to indicate the 1/2 inch you get, so you don't sew more than 1/2 inch, or you know, that kind of thing. So this is me stitching the darts together, closing the darts like this. So you just go ahead and do it. So once you use your pin to, you know, for some people, they find it difficult to sew a princess dart bustier together. So once you use your pin, the easier way is just use your pin to hold it, and make sure you do a little cut on your bust point and all of that, just to indicate that this is your bust point, so they matches together and it's easier for you to sew together. So that's just the little trick. You just have to take your time, pin it, make sure the bust point are lined, and you know, do your markings so you don't exceed the 1/2 inch for the dart joining and all of that. So this is just the little trick to, you know, aid you sewing a perfect princess dart bustier. Yeah, so you can see I am sewing on the 1/2 inch that's joining allowance, as you can see. So that is it. So me pinning the bustier points together helped with making sure that, okay, the bustier points are on the same point, the waistline are on the same point, and all of that. So that's just a little trick and all of that when it comes to that. So right now you can see that I have closed the darts, as you can see. And I also went ahead to do a little top stitching on the darts, but this is not relevant at all because for modern blouse right now, they don't do top stitching. You just only close up the darts and iron, that's it. So next step is to outline how you want the bias to be, how you want it to be seated. So I'll show you how I outlined mine using the inspiration from Pinterest, but I'm just going to show you right now how you're going to stitch your bias to your blouse. So you go ahead and place it on your blouse after outlining, and make sure you leave 1/2 inch at the top, 1/2 inch at the end, before when sewing rather, and then 1 inch for the spacings between each line, each outline. I'll just show you everything you get. And then these are the stonings I got about that of 1,000 naira. Yeah, you can get more depending on the kind of stoning design you want. And this is how the stoning design was done, like this. So it's more of like a triangular form. Yeah, so this is how it was done. You just go ahead and stone it. Be creative. You can follow the same process, the same idea, or you can create some design of stoning for yourself. So guys, this is it. So I'll just go ahead and outline it now. So I've outlined it, and this is what I outlined hat. I don't know why this is being difficult for me to pronounce. So this is it, guys. Let me bring it closer so you can see the way I outlined on the fabric like this, and the spacings at the down is about 1.5 or 1.25 inch. Then at the middle I have 1 inch, and at the top I have 1.5 inches space between each line. And at the you can see the way it goes like this, and curves out like this. It's giving some kind of womanly shape. So that's how the shape was. So you can see the way it's been shaped. Yes, that is it. So this is how you will go. You bend it this way, come the other way, bend it the other way. So this is what I was just trying to explain. So you can see the shapings. Make sure you leave the 1.5 inch at the side here before starting the bias stitching. And also I went ahead to stone on the bias, because I prefer stoning on the bias before joining the lining to this. So you go ahead and stone if you want as well. You can stone after you're done with everything, but I prefer doing this at the stage. And also make sure you stitch the bias neatly on both sides with a straight line. So I've brought in the lining, which is the door face, and I'll make sure the right sides are facing each other. That is, the right side of the lining and the fabrics are facing each other. And I'll go ahead and close up the neckline like this, and also go ahead and close up the hem. The neckline is, you're using the 1/2 inch, and for the hem you're using the 1 inch you left for hemming allowance. Yeah, so I'll go ahead and close up the hem as well, and also I'll close up the side using 1/2 inch. We left 1.5 inch for the side seam, so I'll close it up using 1/2 inch. So I'll be left with 1 inch after doing that. Now for the back pattern, I'll also go ahead and bring in the linings for the back pattern, and I'll make sure the right sides are also facing each other. That is, the right sides of the fabrics and the lining are facing each other. And I'll go ahead and close up the neckline using the 1/2 inch allowance, and the hemming using the 1 inch hemming allowance. And for the zipper section, I'll fix in my zip. If you don't know how to fix in a zip, I'll do a very detailed video on that, on how to fix your zip neatly. And so I'll do the same process on the other side as well. So right now I have closed up the neckline, the sides, and the hem, as you can see. And now that that is done, it's time to join the back and front together. So this is it. I'll put it like this, making sure the right sides are also facing each other. The right side of the fabrics are facing each other, and I'll go ahead and close up the side using the 1 inch seam allowance that is now left. So I'll go ahead and close up the side. So you can see the reason why I left 1.5 inch before stitching the bias, before starting with the bias stitching, just because I need to close up the side. So I'll also go ahead and also close up the shoulders. So right now it's time to draft out the sleeve. So the first step is to go ahead and come down from the starting of your paper, the beginning of your paper, with 1 inch. That is going to serve as your top line or your top margin, whichever you want to refer to it as. So I'll just go ahead and mark my 1 inch down from the starting of this paper, this pattern paper, like this. And after doing this, I'll bring in the rule and connect those dots to get a straight line, like so. And this line refers to the top line or the starting line, whichever that will be easier for you to understand what this line is. Next step is to mark out your cap height. Now to get the cap height, this is the formula I make use of. divide the round bust measurement by 12 plus 1. So since the round bust measurement I'm working with is 41 divided by 12 plus 1 gives me 4.1. So that is what I'm marking from this starting line. So go ahead and calculate for your cap height and then start marking it out from the starting line or the top line. So now that I've marked out 4.41 for the cap height, that is what I got after calculating. I'll go ahead and bring in my rule and connect these dots to get a straight line like this. And this line is the cap height line. Now it's on this cap height line that you would mark out your bicep measurement. Now to get your bicep measurement, you go ahead and measure your bicep like the picture shown above, and whatever you get, you divide by 2 and mark it out. Or you divide your round bust measurement by 6 and whatever you get, you mark it out. So I just marked out the bicep measurement, and the next step I'll go ahead and mark out the sleeve length. So obviously this sleeve is few inches below the elbow, so I've marked out where I want the sleeve to stop, and it has 17 inches. So that is what I am marking out. I'm marking out 17 inches now. You can see the way my tape is placed, and I'll bring in the rule and connect these dots to get a straight line like this. So where you want the sleeve to stop, you go. So this line is referred to as the sleeve length. This is where the sleeve is going to stop. So where you want the sleeve to stop, you go ahead and measure around this place like this. So obviously this is where I want the sleeve to stop. So I went ahead to measure around, and I have about 10 inches here. 10 inches or 10.5 inches, and I went ahead to divide 10.5 by 2, and I got 5.25, which I went ahead to mark out here. So I'll go ahead and connect these two together. That is, I'll connect the bicep to this measurement I just marked out on the sleeve length. And the next step, I'll go ahead and connect this bicep point to meet up with this top line at this point here to form a triangle like this. And then I'll find the midpoint of this triangle like this by putting my tape like this and folding it over like this, and I'll just press this part down. So whatever where I have the marking is where the midpoint is, and I'll come up by half an inch here. And so I'll bring in my curve rule to draw out the sleeve curve. So when drawing out the sleeve curve, make use of this side of the curve rule, and make sure the curve does not exceed this half an inch that we went up with. And then you turn it over like this and also connect it to the bicep like this. So you can see we have a nice sleeve curve. So this is a perfect way to get a sleeve curve. Right now, I'll go ahead and cut this out like this. Now for the allowances that I'll be leaving on the fabric, I'll be leaving 1 inch on the side, 1 inch at the hem, and half an inch at the sleeve curve, top of the sleeve. So I'll go ahead and use this to cut out 2 of the sleeve. We have 2 sleeves, right? So this is it. I have cut out 2 of the sleeve, and you can see I left 1 inch at the hem, 1 inch at the side, and half an inch at the top. So I'm removing my pin to lift off the pattern. So this is it. Make sure you always indicate the wrong side of your fabric. So you can see I left a little slit here just to indicate where the 1 inch for the hem is starting from. Like I earlier stated, make sure you notch the midpoint of your sleeve like that. So right now, the next step is to show you how to, put in your ruffles, sew in your ruffles. So before doing that, make sure you aim the down of your sleeve like this. You double fold it like this, as you can see, and you run a nice stitch through it. And after aiming, you go ahead and bring in your net. So I got these nets, about 2 yards of it. It was enough for me. 2 yards was enough for me. So I got this black nets, because I'm dealing with black color. And I have gone ahead to iron it on a low heat, a very low heat, and as you can see, I folded it multiple times so that it will be faster for me to cut out. and easier for me to cut out. So right now I'll just cut off this part that is uneven, and I'll bring in my tape to measure 2 inches. I am making use of 2 inches as the length of the ruffles that I want. So I'm cutting out 2 inches, as you can see, for this net. And I'll repeat the same thing till I exhaust these 2 yards of tulle or v-net. Now it's time to sew this to the sleeve. After aiming, you go ahead and measure where you want the ruffles to stop. So obviously this ruffle stops at the elbow, so you measure from your shoulder to your elbow and you mark it out on your sleeve, and then you go ahead and gather your tulle like this on your sleeve. So you make sure you outline where you want to gather the tulle, and it should stop at your elbow, yes. And you gather your tulle like this and run a single stitch at the center of the tulle while gathering it. So that is how you form your ruffles, and you do that till you get to the elbow. So this is it. I have attached the sleeve to the blouse, yeah, and I've closed the side. So I've done lots of videos on how to attach your sleeve to your blouse or top or shirt. So by now you should know how to do that if you've been watching or following my videos. So next step now is to attach that asymmetric design that was at the front, and at the side here I didn't finish closing up the side of the blouse. I just stopped the stitching at the waist, that is the deepest part of this blouse, and I'll go ahead to cut out a piece of fabric. So you can see that I've done a little bit of outlining already on the blouse. That is how I want the asymmetric design to be. So this is the fabric that I cut out, and I make sure I ironed the strongest gum stay to this. So you can see that I've already ironed the strongest gum stay to it, and this is how the asymmetric design is going to be placed, yeah, like this. So make sure you iron the strongest gum stay, a very strong gum stay, to your fabric. And for the measurements, I'm going to stop 1 inch from this point, about 1 inch from the hem of the blouse, and this is how the design is going to be placed. So for the measurements for how wide this design is going to be, you just measure from the point of your waist to the hem, and for the length, measure from this point like this of your waist to this point like this. You slant your tape like this, and then you go ahead and add about 3 inches to it to cut out the fabric. So this is it. You can see what we have here. So after measuring, you can see I had 18 inches. So for this I added 2 extra inch, and at the top I had to go ahead and just slant it up like this, cut it up like this. I don't know if you understand. So for the down now I have 20 inches, and at the top I have 19 inches. So you can see everything was 20 inches. Then I just use my scissors to cut off 1 inch from the top and make it slanted. So that's what I'm trying to talk about. So you can add about 3 inches if you want for the allowance, but for me I just added 2 inches. And then in putting the bias design that was on the asymmetric panel or design, I'll just go ahead and measure half-inch lines like this, half inch between each lines. And the bias, you go ahead and bring in your bias and fold it like this. So you go ahead and fold your bias like this, because if you look at the design on Pinterest, the bias was very tiny. So you go ahead and fold it like this, place it on the line, and then stitch on both sides. But for me, I am not going for this design at all. For me, I'm just going to be leaving 1 inch between each lines. Yeah, so I'm going to just use the bias like this without folding. I decided to not follow that particular style on Pinterest for the asymmetric design. I decided to just do my 10. So I just went ahead to leave it like this and stitch on both sides of the bias, and left 1 inch between each lines. So that's just it. And I made sure I also went ahead to stone it. I love stoning before going through with other process. So if you want to follow the design of the particular style, the first style, you just go ahead and place your stonings like this to get that same exact design. You place your stoning like this, on the tiny bias that you stitched to the fabric. Yeah, but for me, I am not doing this design because I felt it to be too much since I have already done some form of fluffy sleeve. So I just decided to go with the same design that I did on the blouse. I hope you do understand. So guys, this is it. I have stitched the bias on this panel, on this asymmetric panel, and I have stoned it as well. You can see I followed through with the same design that was on the blouse. And now it's time to, you know, attach this to the lining. So I have cut out a doll face exactly for this, making sure the right sides are on each other. Now I'll go ahead and close up the corners with half an inch, and at this point I'll stop at this point. I won't close this point, so I'm going to leave this point open so that I can be able to, you know, use it to turn this design or panel to the right side. And then I'll bring in this crinoline. I got this crinoline, and I'll just stitch on the sides at the down and on this side like this. This is just to add some form of flexibility to this asymmetric panel. So this is it. I have stitched on the side and on at the end. I'll go ahead and notch like this. So notching it makes notching after stitching makes the panel or your stitched more relaxed. Yes, and I forgot to mention, after every stitch, please make sure you iron. It gives you a more neater look. So make sure you iron after every stitch. It's very, very important. Don't play with ironing. Don't play. If you want to have a neat work, a neat finishing, make sure you iron after every stitching. So at this point, I am just notching, and I will go ahead and turn this out to the right side using this part that I left open. So right now, guys, I have turned it to the right side so you can see what we have here. So I'll go ahead and, you know, iron this. I'll go ahead and iron this, and then to close up this side that was open, I'll be needing the Amy gum. So you fold in half an inch, which we use for the stitching, of course, and you fold it in nicely like this. After folding it in, you bring in your Amy gum and you place it in between like this, and you go ahead and iron. So for the stoning, I made use of a hot steaming iron. You can make use of a steaming iron, or you can make use of your stoning machine. So this is the panel, and to place the panel, I'll place it like this, starting from the waist to the hem. You know, that is how wide this panel is. And then I'll go ahead and close up the side seam using the half an inch, and then I'll bring this panel over like this, making sure that asymmetric style, that is that slanted side that I slanted, is on this points here. So I hope you do understand. So this is just it. So I'll go ahead and tack it using my needle and thread to the front part of the blouse. Yes, so guys, this is it. I hope you understood, and if this video was helpful to you, do well to hit the subscribe button, guy, and be of a support to this channel. Yeah, baby. So guys, this is it, and we've come to the end of this video. So see you on my next video. I love you guys. And if you loved this blouse, and if you enjoyed, if you're going to make this blouse, I would love to see the hearts come. Yeah, so you can hit me up on either Facebook or Instagram, or even on TikTok, you know, to show me if you recreated this style, because I would love to see pictures of the recreations of this blouse. So see you on my next video, guys. My social media accounts are displayed on the screen. Bye.